Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today's video, we're going to talk about my favorite way to save weight and not spend a ton of money. And as weird as that might sound, it's batteries. Through the years, I've ran a few different batteries. I've ran the PC680, and I've actually had that in a couple of my cars at one point where I used one of them and it was in the race car, and then I had a daily driver that we drove in the winter that ran on the battery. And in the first year, if it wasn't much below zero, the battery would work good. The second year, it was probably 10 to 15 degrees. It would get kind of finicky, and it didn't want to start here in Michigan. And I would have to have a jump box to start the car. And you know, at that point, I would limp it through that winter, come springtime, and then I would just buy another one at the beginning of the racing season. So I have used these batteries. I did like them to begin with. They're good battery. The only downside is they're only 170 cranking amps. The stock battery, at least in the Neon, I can't quote anything else. I didn't take the time to look at everything up for everybody. So what we're going to talk about today in comparison is going to be the battery for the Neons. So I believe the factory battery is something like 580 to 600 cranking amps for the Neon. And that battery, when I got my car, it didn't have the b.a.r battery in it. Different battery manufacturers use different stuff to make them, so there's probably some weight differences there when you're comparing these. But the one that I had was it was like 32 pounds, and when I went to the first small battery, it was this Oddessey right here. It has the top post, and you could cut out and squeeze down the clamps to get these on, or you could just take the battery ends off and use the bolt to run it in there. Well, when you do that, you got to make the hole a little bit bigger in the cable end. So I mean, if you want to do that, it will work. They have since updated that though, and I'm not sure if this is just a fitting or not. I never did try to take it off. But when I bought a new one, it didn't have these in a bag, so I just assumed they might have updated it, or I'm just not trying hard enough to get it off, I guess, and it doesn't really matter. But the small bolt works pretty good. This is just a 6x1 bolt that will fit through the hole in the factory cable, and then you could just unbolt the battery end, and then you'll just have these ends because it's the same on either side, and then the hole's just a bit smaller, so that will work. This battery, like I said, I think they're 170 cranking amps is what these batteries are. Now these batteries are about $130, and there are a lot of people that actually make mounts for them. It's a very common battery. When they do a small battery kit in most cars, that's the battery that everybody uses. So I was running that battery because I had the tray and everything was set up for it, so I was just running with it. A couple of years ago, when I first started to get this car together and get it to run and everything, I was trying to find a battery that was a little bit smaller, and I was hoping it was going to weigh less. But when I looked it up online, it said it was only going to weigh like 10 pounds, but when I bought it and we actually weighed it, it was like 13 pounds or 13.8, I believe it was, and we'll find that out here in a minute. But the battery itself, I think when you buy it on Summit, it's like, I think it's like 80 bucks, maybe 85 or 90 at the absolute most, and then you got shipping on top of that. But I mean, for what it is, it's a good battery. Because the Oddessey was 170 amps. Well, this battery here is for a like a side-by-side or something like that. And I believe when this thing was spec'd out, it's like 330 cranking amps or something like that, or 3.6 amp hour at 3 hours or whatever. So yeah, whatever that means, I guess. But yeah, not a bad battery. It did good. When I put that in there, I did notice that this car started way easier with that battery. Now you may be able to find it cheaper elsewhere, but what I'll do is I'll put the part numbers of each battery that I'm going to weigh here, and a link to where I bought them from, and then you could try and run around and see if you could find anybody that gets it to you cheaper. If you work at a dealer or you got a friend that works at a dealer, and you can kick them this AC Delco part number, they might be able to get it cheaper or at a lesser cost. Or if you're good with a parts guy that's also an AC Delco dealer, you might get lucky and get it cheaper yet too. But like I said, I believe at the absolute most, it can't be much more than $90 plus shipping to get that battery from Summit. And it was like 2 days shipping, I think it was, but I did buy it locally. I went online, I found it, and I know a guy that is an AC Delco dealer, so I just kicked him the part number and I said, hey, do you got this? And he said, yeah, it's this much. And I ended up buying it from him, and he actually had it. So all I had to do was wait a couple hours for him to get it from his warehouse, and I had it in my hands. So that wasn't an issue. Well, actually, I didn't have it in my hands. My buddy Josh had it in my hands, so I got to give Josh a huge shout. So thanks, buddy, for getting me that battery. It worked great. I'm keeping it around here. We'll probably put it in the Razor. But anyway, back to the batteries here. Recently, I got a couple boxes. I did buy a battery. It's a 360 cranking amp battery, and it is a Antigravity ATX 12. Now this battery I think advertised is like 2.3 pounds. I haven't weighed it yet since I got it, so we're gonna find out today. And it's actually kind of fun because I'm looking forward to see what these things really weigh. Because what I paid is crazy for what the weight loss is gonna be total. This one is a 480 amp battery. This one I bought from Summit, I think with shipping, both the batteries together was like $480. I'll put the links up and see exactly what they were individually. I went on there and I was like, all right, well, I need this one, and this is the one that I want for that car, and this is the one that I want for that car, so we're gonna run with it. So I ended up getting the 480 amp battery for that car because we are gonna drive this one on the road. It's gonna have a kicker subwoofer and stuff in it. It's not the huge subwoofer. It's like, I think it's less than 200 watts. But I mean, it's not like it's gonna take a whole bunch because the car doesn't have AC and it's not gonna have a whole bunch of stuff, electrical stuff that's gonna be running on it that's gonna demand a whole lot of power. So it should be definitely fine. The alternator will definitely be able to keep up and not be able to, or not rip on the battery too hard. So, so like I said, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna weigh each battery, and then we'll see exactly where everything's at. So like I said, with the Neon, the factory battery was 32 pounds. And then I did grab a battery out of the Caliber. It's pretty close actually to the size of the factory Neon battery. So we'll see what that one weighs. And then if anybody else online sells them for, you know, if you're a Honda guy watching the video, or if you're, you know, a Cobalt guy or something like that, I'm sure there are vendors out there that make small battery kits for you guys. You could probably just hit them up and they probably sell them with the battery. If they only sold a tray, then obviously, like I said, you can use the link that I put in the description of this video to try and, or to get to one of these batteries at whatever you choose. And then if you get a different battery that doesn't have it, it doesn't take a whole lot to actually make a tray. You just got to bend something that you can mount it down to. So like, for example, the Neon has one bolt here and one bolt here. So when the battery lays in, so if it went in like this, I'm gonna stand this one up when I do it, but what you would do is you would push this all the way to the front, and then you would want a plate that came off and then over, and then you could just bend it so it just conformed to the battery, and then came down, and then jog it over or around, or however you want to make it to get in here to a bolt. Most of the time I see them when they do it, they got a tab that goes in behind this one, and then you just push the plate back a little bit and you get that guy to squeeze in there, and then you could throw a bolt through it. But it just depends on how you want to do it. Or you can get one with a J hook and a small plate. But if you end up getting these batteries, you want to keep in mind that they have a restart button here, so you don't want to cover that up. So keep that in mind when I talk about these batteries here. I haven't started them up, I just pulled them out of the box, so I really don't have any long-time reviews on them yet. But I'm really looking forward to using these things because they are insanely light. It's nuts. They're so light. So because I had the Oddessey first, I'm going to use the old style Post one, which is the one with the big towers on it. And then after that, we're gonna weigh this one, see what the difference is, and then we'll throw the AC Delco on, and then we'll throw these anti-gravity batteries on. So let's get this baby turned on. Oh, no, there we go. So you want 8, you want 0 it, 0. All right, so the old style PC 680. Let's see what it weighs. I think like 15 pounds or something, I think this thing is. Supposed to be 14.7. So yeah, it was pretty close on that one. And then I can't imagine this guy's going to be too much lighter. Just those towers. I mean, maybe 14.6 if we're lucky. Oh wow. All right, that's interesting. Those things are heavy. Jesus, really? Is that really how heavy that is? Let's double check this. Make sure we're still going to be there. All right, so 14.7, 14.3. So this battery's lighter than their old battery, I guess. I don't know if maybe they did change the construction of it somehow. Unless this one's, unless this one's the metal jacket. It's got a plastic body though, so it's not the one. They make one, they call it it's a full metal jacket, which is a steel case battery. But that's the only difference there. So this one is the AC Delco 20HL BS. And like I said, this one I think they use in like razors and side-by-sides and lawnmowers and stuff like that. But scales are 0. I think this one was 13.8 when we weighed it. 170 cranking amps, 14.3 pounds, $130 plus shipping, and then whatever else you got to hold it down if you make it yourself or if you buy the hold down tray. And then with this battery, you're talking 17 pounds of weight saved for $130. And that's pretty good money. Because if you really start thinking about it, carbon fiber hood, right? Depending on what style you get. Some of them still have the vents and everything underneath. Those are heavier Those are heavier hoods. I think those come in around 15 pounds or so. Like I said, this is just neon stuff. I don't know about everybody else. I haven't had hoods from other cars on me to just weigh them and see what the differences are, but the factory hood I think on these is like 27 pounds or something like that. If you buy this hood used, you're probably going to spend somewhere between $250 if it needs a good sanding and polish, maybe 200 bucks if you're lucky, all the way up to something like 500 bucks. I mean, if you buy this hood brand new, I think that hood brand new is like $630 plus $200 to ship it or something like that. So I mean, by the time you do that, you're $850 into this hood. And from the stock hood to that hood, you're only gonna lose probably 15 pounds, maybe 17 pounds if you're lucky, for $400 to $800, guys, or 250 if you're lucky, and then you put some work into it and then you go from there. But I mean, that's what you get. So if you buy these batteries, they come in significantly cheaper, and you get the same weight savings as you do on a carbon fiber hood or a trunk, or cheaper, way cheaper. But so yeah, back to what we're talking. So anyway, AC Delco battery, 13.7 to 13.8 pounds. It's kind of teetering right there. Super light battery. Like I said, you could get it online, less than $100 shipped to your house probably. So that battery still comes in a half a pound lighter, and the cost of the battery itself is $40 cheaper than this Oddessey battery. It's really close and similar size. You could bend something up to work as well. When you get the battery, it's got these jugs of water, and they're like straws that would come on like a I'm gonna sound like a kid here for a second, but they're straws that come on like a juicer or something like that, like a high C, and where it's got that point on it. So when you take these guys and you hold them upside down, you pull all the caps off, and they got foil on it, and you just shove them on there and then let all the bottles drain, and then when it's done, you cap this off, and it starts to create the chemical reaction between the plates and the acid that you put in it. So when you do that, the battery gets hot, and what they want you to do is let it sit for like 10 to 15 minutes, I think it was, and then you charge it. So you let the reaction happen, you let it kind of cool off a little bit, and then you put a good full charge on it, and then you put it in the car, and you never have to really worry about it. And that's the case when I used it. I actually laid the battery on its side and it didn't leak. I put this on once. I've never taken it off since I put it on. I did only run it for a season and a half, but like I said, it was a great battery. That thing worked great. It started the car way better, and like I said, it came in at a way cheaper price than the Oddessey. So I was really happy with that AC Delco battery. Now, the batteries that we're going to. We'll do the heavy one first. So this one is the more expensive battery from Antigravity, but it still is 480 cranking amps. Size comparison, it's still smaller than the AC Delco battery by all measures, and it's way smaller length and height wise than the PC680, but it's about as wide. It's a little bit narrower, but not a whole lot. But be ready for this, guys. 2.9 to 3, so we'll call it whatever they advertised it at. I think like 2.95 is I think what they split it, so that would make sense that it's teetering right here, because the scale probably rounds, so when it sees 2.96 it probably goes to 3, and 2.95 and under is going to be 2.9, so we're probably seeing that teeter on the scale. But yeah, I mean, for less than $300 shipped, and you save like 30 pounds. That's almost 2 carbon fiber hoods, guys. That's carbon fiber hood, trunk, and something else. That's crazy. And you're doing all that for like way cheaper than anything else. I don't know how these are gonna work in the winter. Don't quote me on that yet. The only downside is when you buy these lithium batteries, you have to buy the charger. The charger, I think if you buy it from Antigravity, is $120 or is like $130 plus shipping, whatever they get. You can find it, if you're handy with the internet, you might be able to find it for cheaper than that, not much. I mean, you might be able to save yourself 10 bucks if you catch a sale somewhere, or a coupon code or something like that from Honey, if you have any sites that have any deals on stuff like that. But you could go to that battery for that. Like I said, less than $300, and you are gonna save yourself 30 pounds from the stock neon battery. And I haven't weighed the stock caliber battery yet, so we'll find out on that too if you caliber guys are watching. So I got this other battery. This is a 360 cranking amp battery, and this is also obviously the Antigravity restart technology battery. So it's a nice battery. It is thicker than these batteries. I should have bought this one, but it is lighter. It's the same dimension, height and length wise, but it is a little bit wider than the 480 amp battery. So they have gotten a way to put more power in a smaller case. It does add a little bit of weight, but that's not a bad call. I mean, because ideally, if you have this battery, you are tripling your capacity almost going to this, because you only have to touch 510 to triple 170, where, I mean, you're 30 short for less than an extra $100 to get this battery. So I mean, that's really your call. And between these two batteries, for that extra $100, you're still saving 10 pounds or 12 pounds, which is still more than it would be if you were to just get a trunk. I mean, it's still lighter than that. You're going to spend $300 to $500 on a trunk, depending on which one you get, whether it's a PVO or a different one. And it depends on how they do the structure on their trunk when they put it together. But all the trunks that I've had through the years, I think, have been between 10 and 13 pounds, where the stock trunk, I think, is like 20 pounds and the wing is like another 5 maybe. So you're going to save 15 pounds for that $300, where you're still going to spend the extra $100 to go from this battery to this battery, and you're still almost going to save that much weight. And like I said, just Neon stuff. Don't quote me on the other platforms. It might be more than that for other stuff. And then, like I said, either battery is still smaller than the AC Delco battery I got. And it's crazy because both of these guys are less than any of these by half. But we're going to find out what the 360 amp battery weighs, and this is going to be the lightest one. So scale is 0. We got the neighbor going by with the tractor. Hold on. That's the thing about living out here in the country. You get that once in a while. Most of the time I edit it out, but I'll chop it in this time. But anyway, 2.3 to 2.4 pounds. A little over $200, guys. That battery is 30 pounds lighter than the factory battery. And this battery is a little bit more, obviously a bit more power, another 120 cranking amps. And that battery is still 29 pounds lighter. Insane deal, guys, insane deal. I mean, both these batteries, less than 6 pounds. They're gonna be like 5.3, 4. Yeah, 5.4 pounds. Two batteries, 5.4 pounds, still less than half of either of the batteries that I was using. Now let's find out what this used caliber battery is. And I believe it's a factory size, so hopefully it is. Jesus, this thing is heavy. We 0? All right, we're 0. Good God, 38 pounds. So if you're a caliber guy, you're gonna save 35 pounds, or you're gonna save almost 36 pounds, depending on which battery you go to. That is absolute nuts to me. That car does have a little bit more electronics, so you would probably want to go to the 480 or even the 680 that they offer. They do have another battery, and let me look that one up here quick on Summit. We are going to get that one for my buddy Supra too, so we're going to have anti-gravity batteries in 3 of our cars. So we'll see what, I hope these all work out, because we're going to invest a little bit into them right away, and we're each going to have the charger. So the only maintenance I'm going to have to do with these, I'm not planning on putting them through the winter. I don't know if they're reliable for that. If you want to do this in a car that you're going to drive all year, I'd probably message them and ask and see what they say. I guess that's up to you. All I'm going to do with them is I'm going to run them in the race car. Like this one's only getting driven in the summer. This one's only going to get really driven at the racetrack once the street miles are on the turbo for braking period. But other than that, these cars aren't going to see snow starts a whole lot, unless for whatever reason it's like January and we decide we're going to travel to go to a race downstate or in somewhere else. So the 680 amp battery that I was talking about on Summit is just shy of $290 before taxes. I'll link that one in here as well. Let me see if they got a weight on it. Don't look like they do, so let me Google that real quick and we'll see what this guy weighs so we can get you guys an idea here. That one would probably be more ideal for drive-by-wire car, something that uses more electronics, somebody that still has AC, power steering, and things like that. So the 680 amp battery still only weighs 3.8 pounds, guys. So if you were a caliber guy and you were going to get into this thing, you're probably going to be somewhere like 310, 315 shipped, but you're going to have a battery that's going to be 34 pounds lighter. Over 34 pounds lighter than a factory battery. That is a lot of weight for what you guys spend on a hood, because I know these hoods ain't cheap for those cars. I think they're something like $800 or $900 new plus shipping for a hood. I don't know what a hatch costs. I haven't looked into that. I don't know if anybody makes one. I'd almost be scared to know what that costs. But we did look at the carbon fiber hood, and that's the reason I know the price, because I really like the way it looks. But unless I could find something used that like needed paint, or a good sand that wasn't, you know, cracked like crazy, something that could be salvaged for, you know, a few $100, I probably wouldn't buy one. But they are really sharp looking hoods. So everybody that does have one, we're jealous, by the way. I enjoy your hoods, guys. I wish we could have one. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna wrap this one up now, guys. I mean, I hope this video gave some of you guys a little bit of an education on a good way to save weight and not spend an astronomical amount of money on carbon fiber parts or a set of several $1,000 wheels. I mean, sometimes, you know, guys do that. You know, once you get to that point, obviously you spend the money to go the extra mile. But if you're just some guy that's driving this thing on the road, something you're daily driving it to work, and you want a nice light battery that's going to get you by in the summer, or something that you drive around in the summer on the road, and you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money and you want to save a decent amount of weight, these batteries are an insane option. Like I said, I'm going to take every battery that we've weighed today, with the information that I've had, and I'll put that in the description. I'll link the batteries in if any of you guys are interested in buying something. If you have a vehicle specific platform, just type it in on Google. I'm sure you could find a small battery kit for it. If not, guys do make universal 680 batteries. The rest of them you're probably gonna have to make your own, and that's what I'm gonna do with this one. Is because it's got this restart button here, and I did mention that earlier in the video, I'm gonna have to build a bracket that has like that's gonna be open in the middle. And what that's probably going to end up consisting of is it's just going to come together on this side, and then it'll bend to the top, you know, to go to the top, bend over, come straight across, and then come together on the other side, or out here like a billet plate, or like a billet plate or something, if I can get somebody to cut me something. And then I would just do a small plate on the bottom, pull the factory battery tray out, do a small aluminum plate, and then put holes in it, and then have J-hooks, and then just J-hook this guy down. Ideally, I think that's going to be my plan with this one. And what that'll do is get rid of all of this stuff, because I will probably end up, because at that point, I'll probably end up just taking this battery tray and cutting this guy off, and then mounting all this stuff to the side, because by the time you actually get it there, and this is the thicker battery of the two, so by the time you actually get it there, you're on this side of the hole still. So you get rid of all the weight on this side, anything you don't need here. And what I'm going to end up doing is, because there's still a little lip, is I'm going to drill a hole through the corner, and I'm going to see if I can get enough meat in here to get a bolt down. So I'll have 2 bolts here, and then I'll just use the single factory bolt hole back here, and then have that J-hook bar to hold all that stuff down. And the battery cables, they're close enough. We can get those guys to work with where we're at here. I could just unwrap them and reroute them or anything if I ever needed to, so no big deal. But we'll get all that stuff sorted out. But yeah, guys, like I said, hopefully this video helps you guys out trying to pick out a battery. So if, like I said, if any of you guys are looking, most companies do offer a PC680 battery tray. If they don't, there's a universal kit, and you can figure out how to mount it in your car somewhere, and then run your battery cables. Definitely check out our Instagram, check out our Facebook. Like I said, links in the description for any of these batteries if you want some. I'll have a little bit of information on each one and different weights. You guys have yourself a good one. Stay safe, stay clean, and we will see you at the track. Thanks.